So, we've got a box. And what's in the box? Tarett Engineering. Ooh, see that birdie? Lovely. Well, hi there. Okay, so I was surprised to find that my PSS9 coilover installation didn't give me the negative camber that I expected to get from it. Also, I didn't have time before the alignment appointment to adjust the ride height. So I discovered that I had dropped the car 1 5/8 in the back and a whopping 2 3/8 inches in the front. That's 60 millimeters. That's quite a lot, more than I anticipated. And I mean, you might say, oh, that's cool, but the problem is that I can hardly get up my driveway. It scrapes the nose of the car just about everywhere I go. Now, normally, when you drop the ride height of a car, that will automatically increase the negative camber. So let's go over to the whiteboard and I'll show you what I mean. So what we have is McPherson strut suspension. So this is the shock absorber or coilover or strut as you wish. This is the wheel carrier here. This is my lovely drawing of a wheel. And this is the lower control arm. Okay, so if you look at this, you'll see that essentially this is a fixed point and this is a fixed point. This moves up and down as the coil or shock absorber here retracts and expands. And so essentially what we have here is a triangle. If you increase or decrease this line of the triangle, what's happening essentially, let's just draw a triangle here, and here's the wheel. We know that this is fixed and that this is fixed. So if we change this direction here or shorten this line, what's going to happen is we're going to have a shorter line, say the same line with the 2 fixed points, and that means that this line here now goes up to here. And since the wheel is on the end of that, now of course this is extremely exaggerated, but as we compress this line, the shock absorber, the wheel tends to arc up this direction. Okay, so obviously here we have extreme or more negative camber as we shorten this. So lowering the car is essentially done by decreasing this line here, and that will automatically decrease the negative or increase rather the negative camber. Second thing, to increase negative camber, which is what my point is here, there's a couple of ways we can do it. One, we can move this fixed point slightly because it is adjustable to a small extent up here by sliding in the slots in the shock tower. We can slide this inboard or outboard. If you slide it inboard like this, of course, you will be increasing the negative camber. The other possibility is lower control arms. Now the lower control arms on my Porsche are fixed, but we can replace these with adjustable lower control arms. But I've decided to go with camber plates, the Renline camber plates, because they're cheaper. So what we have to do today is, first of all, I'm going to loosen off this collar to release the well, there's not any actually pressure on the spring right now, but I'll loosen it up a little bit anyway, because we're going to have to bring this back up to raise the car up slightly. And also when I put on the camber plates, it's going to make a difference because they're not as big as the factory top plates. Okay, so we're going to undo this. I'm going to have to drop that down again. So, but it's not as bad as when you're taking the shock out. We don't have to take the shock out at all, or the coilover out at all. We should be able to just drop it down enough. I'm not going to take the brakes off anything. It's only going to drop down about 2 inches, and I should have enough clearance on the top here to take this top plate off and slide on these new camber plates. This way, yeah. Goes this way. Okay, so let's get at it. Okay. Now again, to give us some leeway, we're going to loosen off the bolt on the inner control arm. Just loosen it off. Okay, now you can see it's dropping down. Okay, the old double wrench trick to get started. And now I'm going to have to put on my little vice grips to counter hold it. And everything falls apart. Okay, so we'll put the camber plate together. This is the short side here. See the long side here, short side here. That's where we want to put our third bolt so that we can get more negative camber. This should add another just over 1 degree, 1.1 degree I think is what they said. Okay, and then since this is not a GT3, we will be putting in a spacer. Okay, oops, we're going to first of all, to make sure, I think I forgot something. Washer. Now, spacer. And there we go. Okay, so I've just shaved about maximum 1/4 inch, say, off of here, so that we have enough play between this bolt and the actual body of the car. I'll touch that up with yellow paint and you'll never know the difference. Okay, so now we get to crank this up. What I'm doing here, I'm going for, I've set my micrometer here for 85 millimeters, and I'm going to be measuring from the top of the wheel carrier to the bottom of the adjuster. Not this one, this is the locking nut, but the adjuster here. So what I'm going to be looking for is bringing this up to here, so a little further yet. When there's no, when the car is not on the ground, when there's no weight on the shock, you can actually do this by hand. Otherwise they give you these tools to turn it. So if you've got load on the car, you'd probably want to use that, but for here, for the moment, the two tools I can use just to lock them together. And there we are. Good. So a lot of this is trial and error, so what we're going to do now is we're going to lock these. I've got it at my 85 millimeters. Let's lock them together. And now we're going to, it's trial and error, so we're going to have to put the wheel on, drop it down, measure it, see where we are compared to the other one on the other side, and see if that one's changed, and well, keep fiddling around until we get it right. But of course, before we put the wheel on and everything, what we're going to have to do is we need to load up this wheel and lock that nut back there again. So we need to put the full weight of the car on the wheel. So I'm going to use a jack. I'm going to push it up until it just starts to lift off the other jack, and then I'm going to tighten that down, and then we can put the wheel on, drop it down, and everything will be fine. Okay, the wheel's all loaded up, and we'll just tighten this up with the power bar like that. And now we can drop the load off. And we'll put the wheel on. So here I'm back at AGM Performance, and Andrew's telling me we got minus 2.4 on the fronts and minus 2.4 on the rears. Sounds pretty good to me. He says that we could get a little more out of it if we wanted, but I think for running street and track, minus 2.4 is pretty good. I hope this video worked for you. Please click on that handsome racer dude in the upper right corner to subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell to get notified of upcoming good stuff. Oh, and please leave a comment. Love those. You can click on the like if you like.